Let's go to one that I know is 25% of the vote. So Sabre's defensive index is the sabermetric part, the analytical part that is put in towards the Gold Glove awarding process. So coaches will vote. That's like 75% of the vote, but 25% of it is Sabre's defensive numbers. And by SDI, that's Sabre Defensive Index. For center fielders, Jake Meyers leads. The issue with this is their last leaderboard was published on August 13th.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
And Jake Meyers doesn't actually qualify. Like, he's not a qualified center fielder. And when you put him in
terms of innings?
Because they didn't have enough 698.
In terms of at-bats.
Well, why would at-bats matter for your
I don't know.
defense?
I'm just saying.
Shouldn't be innings at that position?
You need 698 innings in the field to qualify for the award. So Jake Meyers might not hit that threshold.
And they hand the Gold Gloves out by outfield position. Is that correct, or have they switched?
No, it's
and you got to play the
Centerfield.
majority of your 698 innings at the position too.
There you go.
So Jake Meyers
has played 793 innings.
All right, so he's eligible there, but his majority of his center field been there.
He's played only 4 innings in left field and 793 in center field.
Then he qualifies.
But, I mean, we'll get to it. I mean, StatCast doesn't have him ranked that high. J-Rod is second at 6.6 on the SDI. Kevin Kiermaier, 6.3. Michael A. Taylor, 6.3. Robert, 5.3. The one thing I will say, too, no one is those are the only guys above 5, and everyone else I don't even think is above 1. So that's kind of like the crop, at least for that part. And that's only 25%. Let's go to the other stat graph here. Steven, sorry, as you're pounding water. Fielding run value, which is StatCast's.
Chug.
Which is StatCast's fielding metrics.
Ferv
used to be outs above average. But Robert is the leader at 12 Ferv. I guess he's tied with Jose Siri. But Siri, I believe, is injured. I don't think Jose Siri is currently playing for the Rays.
Well, big day with the new iPhone coming out.
Yes.
Vinny, let's get serious, all right?
No, fuck.
Siri. Yes.
Steven's throwing puns. At least I'm making jokes. Steven's just punning it up over there.
I like the pun. I thought it was a good playful, back and forth. Siri is out. He fractured his hand. Should return in about 3 weeks or so. But Robert has about 300 more innings than Siri. He's got a 12 Ferv. Varsho is at 11 Ferv, but only 444 innings. Kiermaier in Toronto, 11 Ferv, 910 innings. And Michael A. Taylor, a 9 Ferv at 906 innings. Jake Meyers isn't even on this list. So I don't really know what Jake Meyers and StatCast thinks of Jake Meyers. I think he's well below J-Rod and Michael A. Taylor.
And that particular stat obviously is not part of the balloting.
No.
So, and let's be honest, how many managers and coaches are looking at that
I don't know.
data set? You don't know, right? So my point being that that's to give us a statistical frame of reference for who is the best center fielder defensively in baseball. But that other one holds a lot more weight because it's actually part of the voting total. And you've got to remember, too, the managers, the coaches, while many of them are analytically inclined and would look at something like that, many of them also are going to be going off of their anecdotal recollection, right? That's why we always talk about guys when it comes to Gold Gloves where reputation can carry you, where your bat can carry you.
Yes.
That latter thing might work in Luis Robert Jr.'s favor. Who knows? But a guy like Kevin Kiermaier, who is on the leaderboards for the stats and has the reputation of being one of the best defensive players in baseball, would seem to be a guy who would be right at the top of the list for the most likely to win the award this year, right?
Well, and you brought up, maybe your glove, having that reputation, your bat having that reputation. I think Rafael Palmeiro's bat was so good that he won a Gold Glove. So that's always fun.
Only played 4 games, I believe, at first base. But Derek Jeter's whole career, he is objectively one of the worst shortstops in the history of baseball if you go by defensive run saved. But he won 6 Gold Gloves. So they're like, oh, man, Jeter's that short. He's doing that jump throw. He's great. And the same thing with the Juan Soto, where we're talking about qualified people. He was one of the finalists for Gold Glove last year. he's not a good he's not a good fielder at all. And as Vinny says, it is a bat thing. Like, if you have a good bat and also you have a glove, you don't even need to be a good glove. A glove, they can vote for you. And he was one of the 5 people qualified to be one of the right fielders who were in the finalists, and he wasn't one of the best of those 5 people who were qualified either, but he was a finalist because he's a name. And Luis Robert has won this before, so that's working in his favor for right now. But I think there's a bigger name out there that is just as good, if not better, in the outfield. You see in the highlight plays where it's Julio Rodriguez is probably going to take home the center field thing. I think it is. Well, Kevin Kiermaier is a good name, but I believe it's going to be the bat with Julio Rodriguez and the glove is going to take center field.
Real quick, Vinny, before I just want to go, because if Steve, you want to flash the Ferv graphic, there is guys that have that reputation. Kiermaier won in 2019, Robert won in 2020, 2021, Michael A. Taylor won in Kansas City, and then not on the list, Miles Straw, but he's usually a decent defender. He won last year. So if you want to jump in, because I thought you had.
Well, I think what Herb was saying makes a lot of sense. I think Julio Rodriguez breaking out, helping the Mariners maybe win the AL West this year. The show that he put on in Seattle during the Home Run Derby. Mm-hmm. This has kind of been Julio Rodriguez's year, and I could see when you've got voters who, they have a human mind. They're not a computer that's just going to be pumping out numbers and tell you who ranks where. I think that factors into it, and you might see, Julio Rodriguez take multiple of those, Silver Slugger or Gold Glove, because, listen, he's doing both extraordinarily well, too. Let's not pretend that, like, it would be some sort of coup or anything like that. If he wins the Gold Glove in center field, you're going to go, great defensive player wins Gold Glove. It's not like some guy who gets, robbed or who gets awarded it because he hit a bunch of home runs, which Julio Rodriguez has also done. But that would make a lot of sense. I think what you've illustrated here is that there's a lot of guys who are really good at this. Let's talk about Luis Robert Jr., because I have been telling you since opening night that he has been playing a different kind of center field this year than he did over the last 2 seasons, particularly last year. He's been phenomenal. Yep. And I think the number one thing, which who knows how easy this is to either both quantify or qualify, but is that he just makes it look easy. Plays that should be hard are not hard for him. And he'll track down every ball hit anywhere near center field, and you'll just look down at your score sheet and go F8.
Yeah.
When really not any other, because you've listed many good guys, but many other players out there put him in center field and they can't get to that ball, or they need to make a diving top 10 play on SportsCenter in order just to get an out where Luis Robert is camped under it by the time it gets to where it's going to land. So he's also made the spectacular plays this year. He made the tremendous diving play in Baltimore, which kind of looked a lot like the one he made in Kansas City back when he won the Gold Glove as a rookie, but numerous home run robberies both at home and on the road. If Luis Robert Jr. wins the Gold Glove this year, it will be very much deserved. He has been fantastic. I think the point, though, that you've made with these graphics and that I would like to make in the conversation here is that you can say that for a number of guys, and the quality of some of these guys in the American League is very high. Luis Robert Jr. has been fantastic, and he certainly deserves to be among the finalists and even a winner if he does so happen to land another statue for his mantle.
So the one thing I will throw in here, at least statistically, and then we can wrap it up, hit an ad break, and then we'll get into the losses, and then we'll send you on to your weekend. You'll watch probably the White Sox take on the Red Sox this weekend. We'll see you on Sunday, and it'll be a nice, CHGO week. Bears got you covered for the CHGO Bears Show got you covered for Chiefs Bears on Sunday. Got Blackhawks training camp with the savior of Chicago, Connor Bedard, going around. So make sure you're subscribing to CHGO because we got you covered. Whoever disliked this video, I'm also going to find you. All right, so hit the like button. What's wrong with you?
What did he dislike? Goodness gracious, this is a good conversation.
The one thing that I'm just concerned about with Robert, and you guys bring up J-Rod, J-Rod has more innings played in center field, 1,259. Robert has 1,190. And you mentioned the ease of those catches. Robert, on 4-star plays, he is tied for second with Kyle Isbell and Michael A. Taylor with 9 made. So 4+ stars are.
Is that the most stars you can get?
5 is.
Oh,
so
okay.
25% chance or below. Robert has made 2 of those catches on 23 opportunities. 4 stars are 50% or below. So really, that upper echelon of outfielders can make. Robert has made 9 of those plays, tied with Isbell and Taylor. Joey Weimer and Fernando Tatis are the only players above them with 10. But the only thing is Robert has a fairly low conversion rate. 9 on 4-star plus plays, 9 outs on 34 opportunities. That's a 26.5% conversion rate. And you look at the other players like Isbell, Taylor, Weimer, and Tatis, 41.7% for Tatis and Weimer, 39.1% for Isbell, 33.3% for Taylor. So you could make the argument that Robert is doing it, quote unquote, like worse or less.
You're telling
less
me I'm wrong. That's what
efficiently.
you're telling me.
I guess. Like, at least for, StatCast is. These aren't my stats. But at least to bring it up to the J-Rod thing, Robert has made more outs and has a higher conversion rate. So at least if we're looking at that stat for Robert versus Rodriguez, 9 outs on 34 opportunities for Robert, 7 outs on 30 opportunities for Rodriguez. And you could say, too, with J-Rod playing more innings, Robert is probably putting himself in position more often for 5-star catches or 4-star catches because of his jump, because of his athleticism. He's getting the chance to make more difficult catches because of his ability. We've talked about this with TA. Like, TA's range allows him to get to so many balls that, it looks difficult to, he's making impossible throws, or at least this was like 2022 TA. The throws were so much difficult because he was getting so much range on these plays that his defensive metrics looked worse because he wasn't able to convert on balls that he was getting to.
Other shortstops, those were just hits.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
So yeah.
And with J-Rod, the thing that has him an advantage for this next week, he has 10 games versus Texas, versus Houston, and then versus Texas again.
People are going to be watching him.
Exactly. All the coaches, all the managers who vote on this award, if he does anything, offensively or defensively, that will solidify his chance to win the Gold Glove because more eyes will be on him while the White Sox will be playing teams that are not in the playoffs, or Padres, I guess they're trying to get in the playoffs, but those games won't be widely viewed by managers and coaches around the league. So J-Rod has an advantage over that. He has his destiny in his own hand, and the Seattle Mariners have the 10 games that they can win or lose to get in the playoffs. And if they win, man, J-Rod's going to get a big-time bump for that.